Hey guys, Will here with Bettor Analysis. Thanks so much for joining my first episode of my YouTube channel. I'm really excited to break down the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans matchup, first game of the year. I am confident that my analysis will bring you the best insight available on the internet right now, and I can say that with confidence as first of all, a little bit of background on why I'm creating this YouTube channel, just since it's my first episode. I, as a sports bettor, have really struggled with finding good value-added analysis and information that gives me an edge as a sports bettor. I mean, I feel like even the best analysis out there is more emotional and gut feeling rather than breaking down specific matchups and using relevant historical data to support their picks. So, and then on the other side of the spectrum, you have people who tout their models and provide no analysis at all. Neither of which I feel like, as a sports bettor, really brings me much value or confidence in making bets. So, I created this platform here on YouTube. And look, there's a reason why, if you do not know about Seeking Alpha, it's a crowdsource stock platform that millions of paying subscribers follow, and it's not so they can get stock picks, but rather information to help them make better stock picks. And honestly, that's my goal here through Bettor Analysis YouTube channel, I hope to achieve that same type of community, and I'll be doing analysis here every NFL game this year. So please hit the subscribe button, and if you want relevant data, Bettor Analysis before you put your hard-earned money at risk, this is the spot to come. My information, I hope, will complement your analysis and information that you have, because you sports bettors out there, I know that you have good information, the players, the matchups. Honestly, this is just to add to your toolbox, right? It's just adding another tool to your toolbox. And please, I encourage you to add any data or trends or analysis that you have that maybe I missed in this video. So please add anything I may have missed in the comments below, so together we can make smarter picks and make better bets. So again, thank you for following, and without further ado, I'll go into the Chiefs and Texans matchup. So we've been seeing the spread move from about 10.5 to now some books have it at 9.5. Most books we have at -10 in favor of the Chiefs. Which is pretty similar to the divisional round when we saw the Kansas City Chiefs host the Texans as 9.5-point favorites. And then over-under across all books that I've seen, it's about a 54.5, which is a 3.5-point increase from the divisional round, where both teams have put up a combined 82 points. Albeit 21 points put up by the Texans in the first quarter, coming off a blocked punt and a Chiefs muff punt, both resulting in touchdowns for Houston. And Bill O'Brien quickly, very Bill O'Brien-esque, had made a bonehead play, fake punt in the first half. Gave KC, failed, gave KC great field position, and resulted in a huge momentum shift. So, week 6, these two teams faced off as well. They put up 55 points. So, both matchups last year resulted in an over 54.5-point result. And then Mahomes, rusty in his first full game back from a dislocated knee, he lost against the Texans, albeit Watson put up a strong performance where he came back from being down 17-3. So Vegas has this game at an outcome predicted about 31-21. So that's what Vegas has this game at. So without further ado, we'll go into the analysis. So looking at Houston's offseason moves, they had some significant additions and some significant losses, all pretty much household names. The additions first. So David Johnson, he's got 5 years in the NFL. Most people know who he is. Came from Arizona. But surprisingly, looking at his statistics, he only have 1,000 yards rushing once in his career, once out of his 5-year NFL tenure. He did have 80 receptions that year, pretty impressive for a running back, and definitely a dangerous receiving back for Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's definitely struggled under pressure. His QB rating under pressure is 76 versus 110 in a clean pocket, so he's looking at 40-point differential. Last year he had Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson in the backfield. Duke Johnson was the clear passing down running back. And this year with the addition of David Johnson, they're going to have a dual receiving threat in the backfield. Definitely opens up a lot of possibilities and deception for Deshaun Watson in this Texans offense. I don't know how much of a difference it'll make in this game with Houston playing catch up against the high-powered KC offense. Houston's going to be passing the ball more often than not, playing catch up. So the deception may not be there in this game, but definitely a strong receiving back with David Johnson. So going to the next analysis, Brandon Cooks had over 1,000 yards receiving 4 of his last 6 years in the NFL. He had a weak year last year. Goff, I feel like, lost faith in him. He dropped 3 passes in 4 weeks, and after that, Goff threw to him on average 4 targets a game, resulting in one of the worst years in Cook's career with only 500 yards receiving. When Cooks is given the opportunity, he's definitely a playmaker. And in this game, it looks like Vegas is pricing in, Houston's not going to put up the points. And, I contribute the fact that, Cooks has played for new teams. He played for New England, posted his first year 1,200 yards. His first year in LA, he posted 1,500 yards. He's going to pick up this Texans system really quick, and he's going to be effective in game 1. So, I disagree with Vegas, prediction that Houston's not going to keep up with KC's offense. Cooks is definitely going to be effective in game 1. And then we got Randall Cobb, another well-known household name. Unfortunately, he was near the top of the league last year in the wrong statistic. He had 9 drop passes. It's not the same Cobb we think of when we think of his days in Green Bay, although he only had really one impressive year in 2014. Very impressive year. He put up 1,500 yards and 100 receptions. But his 8 other years in the NFL have been lackluster. He's only had 1 year, all-star performance, but I do think that he can still be effective in this Texans offense, especially with the high-speed Cooks, Fuller, and Stills, running deep routes. It's definitely going to create a lot of opportunity for Cobb underneath, between the numbers, splitting the defense. I don't expect he's going to put up 1,000 yards, but he's definitely going to have upwards of 60, 70, 80 receptions. So definitely a good ad for the Texans. And then Gary and Conley, who's coming from the Las Vegas Raiders. Definitely a good addition to the secondary for the Texans that really struggled last year. So looking at the losses for Houston, DeAndre Hopkins, obviously huge loss. Had 120 receptions last year. 77 of his 120 receptions were for first downs. Pretty important playmaker. I mean, he's Deshaun Watson's go-to guy, whether it's goal line, third down conversions. He's going to be significantly missed by this Houston Texans offense. Although, Cobb will be able to fill in, between the numbers. Hopkins, 55% of his receptions were between the numbers, and Cobb's last year were 70%. So, from that sense, Cobb will be able to fill in for Watson, but that big physical receiver, as I mentioned, third down conversions, goal line conversions, definitely going to be someone who's going to be missed in high pressure situations. And then Carlos Hyde, he only had 10 receptions last year, but he had 1,000 yards of rushing. He's going to go into Seattle now. Definitely going to be a huge loss for the Texans offense. And then Jonathan Joseph, he's a reliable veteran cornerback, went to Tennessee. Leaving it up to the young secondary in Houston, really struggled, 29th in the league in yards allowed. To stop one of the best passing offense in KC, it's going to be really difficult. Although Jonathan Joseph didn't play in either matchups last year, so really no impact when looking at historical previous matchups with KC. And then looking on to Kansas City's offseason moves. So KC swaps running backs, and they lose 2 starting linemen. So they add DeAndre Washington and Edwards-Helaire. Washington's coming over from Las Vegas. Impressively, he's got a 90% catch rate with 36 receptions last year. So definitely going to be a nice addition to Patrick Mahomes' high-powered offense through the air. And then they also drafted Edwards-Helaire. He had 55 receptions at LSU in 2019. And, his background and his scouting report says he's very elusive, breaks tackles, so another big yards after carry guy. So 2 very important pieces to, Patrick Mahomes' high-powered pass offense, good receiving backs, definitely going to, contribute to this high-powered offense. And then the losses for KC, they lost Damian Williams. He decided to opt out. He had a 4.5 average per carry last year. He had 30 receptions, 81% catch rate, so definitely a reliable guy for Mahomes. And LaShawn McCoy, who had over 4.5 yards a carry. So, it's definitely looking like KC's going to, they were a high-powered offense through the air last year, and losing 2 of their top running backs and replacing them with 2 top receiving backs definitely tells me that they plan on attacking through the air again this year. So another high-powered offense, a lot of points put up, I expect. Although they did lose out on two of their starting guards last year with Tardif and Wisnowski. Both were starting linemen, so definitely be interesting to see if KC feels it on their offensive line this year. So the next segment, in the trenches, where I like to match up the offense versus the defense, specific matchups, what I feel is going to give, we'll see where the advantage lies. So first of all, we're going to look at the Kansas City Chiefs on offense versus the Texans defense. So as you can see here, this is Pro Football Focus ratings. Really good website, a lot of pretty data driven. Definitely suggest check it out. But what I'm going to do here is highlight some of the matchups that I think is advantageous for each team. So first of all, Schwartz, one of the game's best pass blocking linemen. He didn't let up a sack all year last year. PFF's got him ranked at 89.3, very high rating. and he's definitely well deserved. He's proven to be a highly reliable offensive lineman. He's provided protection coming off the line, and he's proven himself versus Watt. Both matchups last year. Surprisingly, Watt had his worst pass rush performance in 2 games versus the Chiefs last year, and I attribute that to Schwartz on the line and maybe a little bit of Kelsey's help when he's not going out for a passing route. He's staying back, blocking on the line. So in that sense, that's the only real threat on defense that I see for the Texans is Watt. He's a very good pass rusher, and KC has proven that they can stop him. So Mahomes is a 112 QB rating and a clean pocket. So if they can protect for him, he's going to have a very successful day. And even if for some reason he gets some pressure applied, he's got way too many weapons. Mahomes does, and he's too smart. His 4th league in the year, fourth. Yeah, and he's just very, very smart. His football IQ is constantly improving. In KC, when they blitzed him last year, week 6, 20% of the passing attempts, Houston blitz in both matchups. So, in week 6 and in the divisional round playoffs, he was looking at a QB rating of 125 and 146 when Houston blitzed. Pretty impressive. And they blitzed 20% of the time. So Mahomes got too many weapons. He's got dangerous receiving backs now, and I expect them to put up big numbers against this KC defense. Mahomes threw the ball 67% of the snaps last year. As I mentioned, I expect that number even higher with Hilaire and Washington as the receiving backs. Houston, bottom of the league for pass defense. They're going against the most potent, high-powered offense in the league. In the divisional round, KC receivers drop balls in games. They dropped the most balls that they did all year long, with 6 drop balls in the divisional round. So, they put up, 50 points in the divisional round. That number should have been even higher, surprisingly. So it's a crazy, high-powered offense going against a very weak secondary. Conley, the new addition to the Texans secondary, he faced off against KC last year when he was playing for Vegas, and he allowed 4 of 6 reception. He allowed 4 receptions on 6 attempts and let up a touchdown. So that tells me that Mahomes has had success against him. He'll continue to have success against this secondary. The one silver lining is that Roby, Houston's cornerback, shut down Hill in both contests last year, holding him to 3 catches in the divisional round and then 1 of 5 in week 6. But I foresee that KC is going to move the receivers around and try and produce favorable matchups. Hill versus Conley rather than Hill versus Roby, and I suspect that KC will continue to have a lot of success on offense versus Houston secondary. So next, in the trenches, we're going to look at the Houston Texans offense versus KC's defense. So looking at KC's defense, one of the huge impact players, Chris Jones, who PFF's given an 89.4 rating, is expected to play the first game of the year, and he was out both contests last year against Houston, which is a huge difference maker. I mean, in week 6, Hyde was able to exploit that hole left by Jones' absence. He picked up 90 yards just running to the right side of the line, 90 yards on 16 carries. I don't think Houston will have that same success with Jones in the lineup. And also, Chris Jones is also going to create a lot of havoc for for Watson in the pocket. He's going against a very weak offensive line. That offensive line sent Deshaun Watson scrambling 10% of the time last year. And then 30% of the passing attempts made by Watson, he was under pressure. So, as we, statistic we showed before, Watson is significantly worse under pressure. This offensive line is weak, and the addition of Chris Jones in this matchup is definitely going to be a huge impact to this game. Jones had 9 sacks, 15 hits, and 30 hurries in just 13 games last year. And Watson's 35 completion rate when under pressure. His low QB rating under pressure. It's going to be tough for Watson against that. Not only just the line, but Chris Jones by himself. Watson will be working with 3 deep threats. He's got Fuller, Stills, and now Cooks. Definitely some of the fastest players in the league. So, and then if they can get the safeties back on their heel, they definitely opens up a lot of opportunity for Cobb, David, and Duke Johnson underneath. So they might have an opportunity to put up points. The key is to keep the game close. To start, get the run game working, get the play action. Sorensen and Matthew's one of the best coverage safeties in the league, to get him to bite, open up those deep plays. Watson alone, his mobility, I think he'll be able to move around in the backfield, give buy time for his receivers to gain separation. And interestingly enough, going back to Pro Football Focus, there's a good article about it's pretty thought-provoking, that likening the loss of Hopkins for Deshaun Watson to the loss of Megatron for Matthew Stafford when Megatron retired. Stafford, like Watson, had forced too many balls into coverage, knowing his playmaker would come up with it, as opposed to having a more balanced receiving set that can gain separation. And interestingly enough, Stafford's numbers greatly improved after Megatron left and retired. So, after doing a little bit more research, I maybe not totally agree with that comparison. Looking at Hopkins last year, he had 170 targets from Deshaun Watson, and how how many interceptions Watson threw as a result of those 170 targets? He threw 1. So it's not like Watson is forcing the ball into coverage that's resulting in touchdowns. Hopkins is either coming down with it, he's either throwing to Hopkins, only where he can get it, or throwing incomplete, throwing away from the defender. So it's interesting point. It'll be time will tell whether the same will be true, but Hopkins is a very physical receiver, get up and get it, reliable on third down, goal lines. So although they're looking for the silver lining, I don't necessarily buy into that opinion. So looking at a recap of this analysis, so here I like to just take a look at what I think Vegas is pricing in, and whether or not try and poke holes in their assumptions. So Vegas pricing a similar spread to that of the divisional round at -10, even with a much different looking offensive team for Houston. So Vegas pricing in that the addition of Cobbs, Cooks, and Johnson will offset the loss of the playmakers of Hopkins and Hyde. And I disagree with this assessment made by Vegas. I think the loss of the short-handed Hopkins will definitely be felt when Watson feels the pressure of all-pro Chris Jones, crucial third downs and goal lines. 65% of the time, Hopkins receptions were for first downs. As I mentioned, Hopkins brings the ball down 70% of the time he's thrown to. So, there's no improvement to the offensive line. That led up the 6th most sacks in the league. And Chris Jones, one of the best pass rusher in the league, is going to be, for the first time, facing off against this weak Houston offensive line. So I think you're going to see Watson, pressured, and we know what happens when Watson's pressured. The other point, Vegas is pricing in a healthy J.J. Watt. So as we know, in the divisional round, Watt was definitely not 100%. So with this game, week 1, he had the offseason to recover. He'll be facing off against KC, where they lost 2 starting guards on their offensive line. They lost McCoy and Williams. And, Houston's adding some new faces to their broken secondary, such as Conley coming over from Las Vegas. They'll prevent the high-potent KC offense putting up monster numbers like they did in the divisional round. So, again, looking at what I think Vegas is pricing in, I disagree with this assessment. Schwartz on the offensive line had held J.J. Watt to his worst pass rushing performance in both games in KC last year, even when healthy. So, and then you have the addition of Conley in the secondary, which may make Houston secondary stronger this year, but he really struggled last year when he was playing for Vegas. They faced off against KC, where he let up 4 or 6 and a touchdown. So I really think that the secondary is going to struggle against Mahomes. And then, the last point on the line is, I think Vegas is also pricing in the fact that there's no attendance at Arrowhead this year, which is a huge opportunity for Houston. Arrowhead's one of the loudest stadiums, and this will allow Watson the ability to easily make play calls and audibles to the line. There's less likely for false starts, so there may be some value there for Houston. And then looking at the over-under, so the uptick in 3.5 points from the divisional round shows that the Vegas doesn't buy into another 80-point barn burner. They think another repeat of week 6 is more likely, where they put up 55 points. Mind you that week 6, Mahomes' first game back from a knee injury, and he wasn't at 100%. Based on my analysis and how KC matches up against Houston's secondary, they'll easily put up 35 in this game. The question will become if Watson will be able to keep up playing from behind. One of the best coverage safeties in the league, and Mathieu, will prevent Houston from scoring big plays without Hopkins, and the pressure from Jones and Watson struggle to move the chains. So that's my recap. I hope that I was able to provide you some analysis and insight to help make you a more informed sports bettor. Thank you for watching this first episode, and I hope the information, again, will help you make better betting decisions. Good luck to you, and again, make sure you subscribe to follow the rest of the games this year. Please, any analysis or data that you think is value added, please add in the comments below, and I look forward to helping you win this year. Thank you.